There and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the functional trainer bent over reverse fly, and we're going to be taking a neutral grip with this exercise. This is a great exercise for your shoulders, the back of your shoulders, and your back. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set up your cable all the way down to the bottom. I'm just showing you how to move it, and then you want to make sure you keep your rotation arm at a 1. You could put a 2, but I recommend just a 1. And then you want to make sure that you choose the appropriate weight. You start off very light and then slowly start to increase the weight every other week or so, or as you get stronger. Once you do that, you want to make sure that you're right inside the machine and that you're bending over at around a 45-degree angle with your torso, with your legs around shoulder width apart. Make sure your core is tight, make sure your glutes are tight, and also make sure that your neck stays neutral. And then once you're in that position, you want to make sure that you're coming out to the sides and squeezing your back and your shoulders. But before we continue, here's a word from today's video sponsor.
I'm today's video sponsor, and if you'd like help losing fat or gaining muscle, there are a few ways I can help you down below. Either set up a free consultation with us, purchase through one of our free affiliate links, or purchase one of our instant access affordable training programs. Can't wait to be of service to you. Now let's get back to the rest of the video.
And then once you have that set up, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're bending over and that you're staying in that position. So your torso should not be moving forward or back. Meaning like you shouldn't be standing up and then bending over as you're doing it. Just keep the torso at the exact angle when you bend over. Now, with that said, you also want to make sure that you're not leaning over to one side more than the other. Obviously, you need to make sure also that you put the same weight on both sides and not just on one. And then you also want to make sure that as you're bringing the weights out to the side, that they're staying lower than your shoulder height. Like imagine you stood up, your hands need to stay lower than that. And there needs to be a slight bend in your elbows. There shouldn't be an excessive bend in the elbows. What we want to do is actually minimize the arm involvement when it comes to doing this exercise so that we can focus mainly on the back of the shoulders as well as the back. Also make sure that your chin is tucked. So we don't want to be looking up when we're doing this exercise because that's going to place an unnecessary amount of stress on your neck, and it's not going to help you do the exercise any better. Also, notice that the tempo at which I'm doing this exercise is nice and smooth. I'm not like using a bunch of momentum. I'm not jerking the weight up to towards my back. I'm not wasting any energy other than the energy I need in order to do the exercise correctly and focus mainly on the back as well as mainly the rear delts, which is the back of the shoulders. And then lastly, what I wanted to just touch on was also making sure that the cables are far down enough, which is why you have to bring them all the way down so that the weights don't hit as you're bringing your hands together. So like I said, we want to make sure that we're also doing full repetitions. Don't do half reps like that, and don't stand up as you're doing the exercise. Keep your torso at the exact same angle that you started it in. That way you can really isolate the rear delts as much as possible. Also, like I said, make sure that your chin is tucked and that you're not looking up the whole time. Also make sure that you don't bend your elbows excessively. You're going to take away the tension in that area, and also make sure that your back is straight and you're not bending over like this.